As a state-of-the-art quantum computer chip. The company claims Willow leapfrogs over the supercomputers that we used to consider the world's fastest, and it takes 5 minutes for them to solve a problem that would currently take supercomputers 10 septillion years to complete. Well, Professor Alan Woodward is a computer scientist at Surrey University. Septillion, before I ask you how much is that, I know it's a lot. But first of all, I'm going to start with the very basic question, if you can explain what a quantum computer chip is.
Right, that's the million-dollar question. In conventional computers, the laptop I've got in front of me, the unit of information that's used for processing is called a bit. Most people have heard of a bit, and it has two possible values, 0 and 1. And typically the way they're implemented on a chip is with a transistor, which is a fancy switch, so the switch is either on or off. So it's either 0 or 1. In quantum computing, you use what's called a quantum bit, and the quantum bit can also be 0 or 1. But if you can coax it into this very special state, it's a complex combination of 0 and 1. Some people argue that it's all possible values at the same time between 0 and 1. And if you get
that wasn't a very good explanation, in my opinion. But let's see what he has to say next.
Working together, then you can actually, it turns out there's some algorithms you can do which are much faster in that sort of state with a qubit than you could ever do on a conventional computer. I'm slightly hesitant to say that this is the comparison with the supercomputer is actually really a valid one, because the algorithm they implemented is really all about it relies on quantum physics. And so the first thing the supercomputer would have to do is simulate the quantum computer or the quantum circuit. So I'm not sure it's a fair comparison in some ways.
Yeah, that's also a very bad comparison. This is not a supercomputer, it's just a computer chip, but it is much more efficient.
But the more interesting part about what they've done and what Google have done in this paper they've put out is what's called error correction, which is a very boring subject. Most people will never have heard of it, but we're all relying on it. I'm using it right now. All our modern electronics have errors in them all the time. And if you're not to end up with just lots of noise, but actually a signal you can use, you have to do what's called error correction. And what they've worked out is how to build a chip with over 100 qubits on it, such that they've reduced the error rate below a magical threshold that everybody's been trying to get to for a long, long time. And that's the big breakthrough, if you like. So I hesitate to say it's a breakthrough. I think it's probably...
I agree. It's a great improvement. They are probably going to make a lot of money with this chip now.
More of a major milestone, and it's certainly very encouraging for anybody that's working on quantum computers, because it means that what we can do is we now know we can scale these things up. We can add more and more qubits to the chips without necessarily just incurring a consequentially larger number of errors. And that was really what tipped modern computing over into sort of the race we saw in the last 60 years, where every 18 months the power doubled. And that's what this holds out as a potential.
Okay, well, I'm still grappling with the idea of it being 0 and 1 at the same time. But moving on, what are the practical benefits of this potentially?
Well, actually, it goes back to why quantum computers were first mooted by Richard Feynman back in the 80s, which is physicists were trying to use classical computers to model things in a quantum state. So when you go down to the microscopic level, quantum effects mean that you can no longer really predict and model things in the same way that you can in the world that we experience every day. And so they decided, well, why don't we actually make a computer out of something that's quantum and actually has the quantum effects built in? And that's actually what it turns out it's best at, is modeling materials right down at that microscopic level. So if you can imagine something like a drug company.
Yeah, it's also a very bad explanation. It's not something that the average person would understand, I'm sorry.
That's trying to model various molecules and how they interact. The quantum computers hold out the hope that they can do that much faster than they can with a conventional computer, and they can run through all sorts of combinations that would take them potentially years on.
Yeah, I agree. The quantum chip is basically more efficient and faster. That's why it's so good.
A conventional computer, and do it hopefully in minutes on a quantum computer.
So potential health uses there. What about the risks?
The risk. The risk is one of the reasons people became very interested in quantum computing, including myself, I have to say, was that back in 1996, it turned out that one algorithm that could be run was developed by a complete genius called Peter Shaw. And what it does is most modern encryption, it relies on certain mathematics that are very difficult to do one way, but very complicated to undo and find out the answer. So, for example, if I ask you what's 3 times 5, I'm sure you'll quickly say 15. But if I were to ask you what 2 prime numbers, when multiplied together, make 15, it takes slightly longer to work that out. Quantum computers and Shaw's algorithm mean that it's equally fast both ways. So you end up undoing or making a lot of modern, what's called public key encryption, basically useless. It can be undone very quickly. But it's not to panic, because we recognized this quite a few years ago. And indeed now people are being encouraged to move on to what's called post-quantum crypto systems, and to show that quantum computers are not just conventional computers sped up, but they're very good at certain algorithms. What we've come up with now is crypto schemes that don't have this, and a quantum computer will take just as long to crack it as a conventional computer, if not longer. So there's kind of risks, but there's a solution there.
All right, that wasn't very clear to me what he meant by all of this. So let's hear what people are saying in the comment section. Glad they had an expert who toned down the overselling of the technology without downplaying the achievement. Okay. Only thing he said was blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I agree. That's the only thing he said. Yeah. Okay. We now recommend password of at least. Okay. Am I the only one who nowadays only gets a small rush of anxiety when breakthrough tech is announced? Probably. Dude did a good job of breaking this down in plain English. That's completely ironical. Yeah, and yet you understood exactly 0. Yeah, it wasn't a very good explanation. I'm sorry. He's probably a scientist that studied the subject very deeply, the technology very deeply, but he has very much trouble breaking it down to the average person, so that the average person can understand. Thank you for getting an actual expert and beginning time to explain it, complete with why it shouldn't be hyped too much. Yeah, this is what science reporting should be. Okay. He missed one actual big risk: historically preserved encrypted data. Okay, I understand what they mean by that. A classic example of if you can't explain it simply enough, you don't understand it well enough. He explained this perfectly. You think he explained this perfectly? I don't think so. Never heard of this, but thanks for dropping that gem. Okay, does that mean I can finally run on my Google tablet phones? Probably not. So I should upgrade my computer or wait? You should definitely wait. Yeah, you should definitely wait until the technology is safe and proven and become a little bit cheaper and tested, basically. I wouldn't change your computer right now. I would probably wait a couple of months, at least a couple of years maybe, until everything will run smoothly and all the errors are cleared up and the system is running, not overheating, etc., and not losing data. And we actually know that this technology is gonna be time tested, that is gonna stay and not be surpassed by something else in the next couple of months, or that it can last a long time as well. Very important to clarify. Yes, quantum computing can tackle certain type of problems that are impossible for classic computing. However, a quantum chip will not render your video or calculate your spreadsheet or edit your photo any faster off your laptop. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with what he's saying right there. Will block YouTube ads, that's all we want. Probably not. That was not a very interesting point. I don't think he was very interesting at all to hear. We still don't know much about this. We will only have to wait and see what Google make it of it, and if other competitors develop other quantum chips as well. So let's watch a little bit more about the quantum AI chip right there. Maybe we will have a clearer idea of what it is.
The systems behind our universe are quantum mechanical. They shift and change with the problems they're tasked to solve, exploring a vast array of options all at once. And like nature, quantum computing is responsive to the environments it works within, leading us to new breakthroughs for tomorrow's most challenging problems. Introducing our latest quantum computing chip, developed to learn and evolve like the natural world around us. Willow, from Google Quantum AI.
Hi, I'm Julian Kelly, Director of Hardware at Google Quantum AI. And today, on behalf of our amazing team, I'm proud to announce Willow. Willow is Google's newest and most powerful superconducting quantum computing chip, and the next step in our path towards building large-scale quantum computers and exploring their applications. I've been fascinated with quantum computing since I first experimented with qubits in 2008. And since coming to Google in 2015, it has been a dream to make our mission a reality, building quantum computers for otherwise unsolvable problems. We launched our first chip, Foxtail, in 2017, followed by Bristlecone in 2018, and Sycamore in 2019, which powered our milestone 1, the first quantum.
So now it is clear, the quantum chip is better at solving particular problems, solving particular algorithms, or finding solutions for certain type of issues that are not solvable by classic computing. But for the average person that just want to watch YouTube or open application with email, etc., is probably not the best. It's only for very specific application then.
Computer to surpass the best classical supercomputer on a computational task, random circuit sampling. Over the years with Sycamore, we have been able to squeeze a remarkable amount of performance from our hardware, including achieving a scalable logical qubit in our milestone 2. But we've ultimately been limited by quantum coherence times, the length of time qubits maintain their intended state. With Willow, we've made a huge step forward. We've increased quantum coherence times by a factor of 5, going from 20 microseconds in Sycamore to 100 microseconds in Willow. And we've accomplished this all without sacrificing any of the features that made our systems so successful. This advancement was enabled by our new dedicated superconducting quantum chip fabrication facility in Santa Barbara, one of only a few in the world. And we're seeing exciting developments coming from Willow, which has already surpassed Sycamore's breakthrough demonstrations. Our logical qubits now operate below the critical quantum error correction threshold, a long sought-after goal for the quantum computing field since the theory was discovered in the 90s. And we've achieved it for the first time with Willow.
Okay, that's nice to hear. It's nice to hear that they made a major breakthrough with this. Basically, reducing the error that happens during calculation. That sounds good to me. So let's see if they find some good application for this, if they find a market for this, with some actual customers that would buy a chip like this. If it's only used by Google for Google, then it's probably not have a very bright future. I don't think so.
Quantum error correction threshold, a long sought-after goal for the quantum computing field since the theory was discovered in the 90s. And we've achieved it for the first time with Willow. Errors are exponentially suppressed in our logical qubits, as error rates are halved each time we add physical qubits in scale from distance 3 to 5 to 7 surface codes. Additionally, our logical qubit lifetimes are now much longer than all of the lifetimes of the physical qubits that compose them. This means that even as we make our quantum chips larger and more complex by adding more qubits, we can use quantum error correction to actually improve their accuracy. We've pitted Willow against one of the world's most powerful supercomputers with the random circuit sampling benchmark. The results are pretty surprising. By our best estimates, a calculation that takes Willow under 5 minutes would take the fastest supercomputer 10 to the 25 years. That's a 1 with 25 zeros following it. or a timescale way
Yeah, I'm not really sure about this. This is probably just some kind of publicity stunt that they're trying to make. They're taking a classical computer, supercomputer, they say, but they don't explain what kind of computer it is, the specification, or the tests that they run, how many times they try to make the test, etc. It's probably only just marketing at that point. So I'm sorry to hear, but I'm not convinced. It's probably gonna be many years before we hear about this again. We don't know how long they are gonna work on this, if the project gets continued or stopped. We will see what happens next with the technology, and we will report everything on this channel. I hope you enjoyed this video with me today, guys. Thanks for watching. Click right there to watch the next video, and I will see you there. Bye bye for now.